Hey, what's up everyone? My name's Art Supplies. Again, welcome back to the studio. Today we are looking at some hi-hat patterns and how to basically make it sound like it's not a computer and not pretty straight, rigid. We're going to give it some flair. We're going to give it some color. We're going to give it some space. We're going to give it some humanization. That's essentially what we're doing today. Let's jump in. So first things first, I've laid out a couple of percussion elements for us here. We've got the first one is just a 16th hat. So that's Sledgren hat from a hip hop producer. We've got a clap here. This one's DJ Mustard clap. Simple. And then we've got the token open house hi-hat here from Kashmir. So altogether, that's a house groove. What I might do is slow it down, right down to say like 122, so you can hear the elements of the groove when we put them in. So right now it sounds relatively in time. It sounds great in terms of a basic house groove, but it really sounds straight and rigid and it has no feel to it, it has no groove. So there's a couple of ways in which we can do this. The first one is we can jump in and literally change things on the grid. So if I wanted to, if we start off with our first track up here, the closed hi-hat, if I change maybe the second one to be behind the beat and the last one to be behind the beat, we can give it a swung feel instead. So if we just duplicate this one out, so you can hear the difference between the two phrases. The first one's going to be swung, the second one's going to be straight. So that gives us a really good sort of groove to begin with. Now, again, that can seem relatively robotic, so you can go in and sort of do some discrepancies, one being a little bit forward, some being a little bit back, you never know. This last clap here, if we also, say we go back to, revert to our original hi-hat pattern to begin with, we can also go and do the clap. I would have moved, say, the clap the same distance away as this last hi-hat to give us that extra shift as well. But the second way we can do it is come in and let's consolidate all of this into one groove. And we're going to essentially come over into packs, down the core library. I'll give you a little bit more. Swing and groove. Now, there's a whole bunch of different ones that you can choose in here to play around with. Swing, rock, quantize, any sort of thing. For house, there's some good ones in the notator one. I mean, 16, I think particularly 16E maybe for me. I don't know, it depends on you, but give it a click. You can also listen to these things if you click it once. It gives you that idea of the swing groove that it's going to give you. So if we come down to the groove pool down here, you can toggle it on and off by clicking this button down here. If we come to the groove pool, we can see our groove is now in here. We can mess around with the parameters, and if you hover over one of them, you can see down the bottom left box that it tells you what that does. So for timing, adjust how much this groove pattern will affect any clips which are using it. So we're going to bring it down probably to around, I don't know, say 40% roughly. The velocity we can also change as well, so it's going to change how loud some of these are. For audio clips, it's going to mess with the audio, but that's okay. Maybe 25%. Quantize is the amount of straight quantization that's applied before the groove is applied. So it'll basically, if you say, I want this groove, it's going to snap it to a grid and then put it to the groove. Or do you want it to just move it to the groove from where it was? I generally tend to take no quantize percentages in here just because we want it to be the loop that I'd put in there and then sort of snap it towards the groove a little bit more, rather than having it snap onto the grid, because your grid might be off and the quantize might be off or not what you want anyway. So let's select this top groove here. You can double click it, and then down the bottom we can come over to groove and select our notator groove. Now by selecting it, it's going to put it in that mode straight away, and you'll be able to hear it. It's not going to change it permanently unless you click the commit button down here. So let's go straight in and listen to it with this new groove. If we solo it by itself, so that's with, and then without. No movement, just straight, same volume, all the way up the top. With the swing, whole different ball game. So do it. It's important. If we chuck it on just one layer, that may also screw up in comparison to everything else. We're lucky that we've only got a few elements in here. If you had leads and pads and other drums and all sorts sitting around the mix, you'd want to all do them roughly the same amount of groove. Well, pretty much exactly the same groove amount. Velocities and things might change depending on the feel of the instrument, but you want the same groove. So you want everything to be tight and fitting into that same swing, whatever it may be. So if we do that, we also want to do it to our claps. This last clap here, we want on the groove. So if we just basically select that, double click it and put that on it, then it's going to give that last beat a little bit of a shift. If I wanted to do it to the whole track, I could, but I really want these backbeat claps to be on the beat and where they are. They have a little bit of bleed on them anyway, so we could sort of shift them slightly like that, but I'm just going to leave them on the beat for purpose of this, and then listen to how it all works at the end with the clap. Also going to highlight all of these and change it to the notator groove. I might actually consolidate this section and then do it. So now it's all in time. Let's listen to it all together. I don't know whether that's as clear as day as it is for me, but it's such a difference. And if you do that to all of your different percussive elements, you're going to make it groove from the start. Because remember, if the basis of the track isn't grooving, if you're not bopping around happy days, then nothing on top of that you build is going to work. So the drums, the beat, the whole thing has to make you groove before you even start. So that's where this comes in. I'd probably try and get my groove right from the beginning, and then it helps to sort of slot the rest of the elements in around that. You can do all of the building elements, like all creatively put everything in where you want it and then apply a groove to the entire track afterwards. That can help. Play around with it. It's best to understand what it's doing and how it's doing it, and then you can understand how that's going to affect your producing and working through the songs. So that's it. 2 really easy tips. 1, just shift it off the grid yourself. 2, you've got the groove pool. They're more than enough reason why you can do that. The other thing I was going to mention was sampling, just bringing in pre-made samples and chopping up bits that are already swung. The other thing that you can do with sampling is play it on a note keyboard thing, or you can assign it to keyboard like this, and basically just play the notes, and you playing it is a certain element of humanization. You're not going to get it exactly on the beat. So if you can groove it yourself and play it in there with MIDI, even better. So that's the video for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Be notified if anything goes off, and follow me on all other socials for heaps more tips. Yeah, thanks for the support. It's been amazing. Love you guys following the videos and watching and stuff. I really appreciate you doing that. So drop some feedback. Hopefully this helps somebody out there. So we'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Laters.
We all free, we all love, we real, we're skinny.